My real name is Enrique Lugo, and but I think most people know me as Chikle. And a little background about me: I've loved art ever since I was a kid. I grew up seeing my dad painting in our kitchen. So I always liked drawing, cartoons, all of that. And then after college, I met some friends, Ricardo Islas and Barbara Medina, that kind of started me on the way. But I think one time I went on a trip with our friend Bob. When I came back, Selena had done like a series of portraits. And I think that's when it really kicked in. I want to be an artist, or I want to make art. And so I asked a friend, can anyone be an artist? Like, what you got to do, and it's funny because that person told me, no, you can't just start, and then Ricardo would always encourage me, and that's kind of how it started, in 2005. I did a show with Carlos Beltran, and it kind of took off from there because we were hanging out a lot at Landlord Gyms and Voz Alta, and came to Barrio Logan, and met, you and everyone else, and all the things that have happened since. So when along the way I became a teacher, man, it's great. So pretty much all the shows, even the first shows I did at Voz Alta here in Logan, were screen printed posters. And then I started transitioning. When I became a teacher, I started painting, because I had seen Selena do watercolor paintings and acrylic paintings, but I was a screen printer, so I was doing posters because it's easy to produce more, and but that was probably, it might have been my first ever mural size painting, which I still have in my garage.
So my name is Selena Calvo, born and raised in Sacramento, California, came to San Diego in 2004, met this guy, and, of course I was like, check out San Diego life. So I grew up with art around me all the time. My dad's an artist, and so I remember being a little kid, and he had a studio at our home, and I'd go in there, and he mainly worked with watercolor, but he also did ceramics and stuff. So I always kind of was around that. So I always kind of dabbled in different things like black and white photography and painting and stuff like that. And so when I moved here, I got more into the painting and using acrylic specifically and watercolor. And then through the years, just, either doing shows. Right now I'm part of a women's collective called Chikle Art in Motion. So we do a lot of work together to inspire and also empower each other as women, as female artists, because the industry, sometimes isn't as supportive. And so, but a lot of us come from different backgrounds, and we have our own little specialties and stuff. And so to be able to bring all of our talents together to create art and community, so that's been really, really fun. That's what I've been doing more recently.
Oh, I'm Itza Lugo, third daughter. And I for art, for me, I definitely do a lot more sketching. I'm not as much as I wouldn't call myself an artist. But yeah, I sketch, I dabble. But I'm really interested in ceramics, and right now I'm doing something for school that involves candle making, so stuff like that is what I'm more interested in right now. Yes.
My name is Damien. I go by Bevel. Art wise, I've been interested in the graph scene as something that has really been interesting. I paint and mostly draw right now. That's kind of what I've been sticking to. Yeah.
I'm really proud that they're interested and down to do things with us, which is why the title of the show, Can We Kick It, because they're teenagers, and I know we're not always the coolest people around, but to have them be creative, and even though it said does not consider herself an artist, she's super talented, and I think for me, doing the shows is not just about the making of art, but to show people that they can do it too, as a kid, I never went to an art show or a gallery, I didn't know that was a thing. Like, I just knew my dad liked drawing and I liked drawing, and I loved through junior high and high school, like graffiti, and like that was the art that I was into, or like protest posters, things like that. So now to be able to do it as a family is really cool. And when the kids were really young, probably like 5 and 3 years old, like we did a show where the 4 of us were at Chicano Art Gallery. And so this will be the second time that we do it, but now I think they'll remember this time. I don't think they remember the first time. So it's just cool to like do it as a family, but also hopefully to inspire others to go for it more than anything, because I think a lot of times we set limits for who we are, what we call ourselves, or the labels that we use, which case in point, right? Like, am I an artist or not? Like, what does that mean? And to me, as anyone who's creative in your own way, whatever you're creating, whether it's coffee or food, photography, poetry, like there's so much to go around.
You go into our house and our kitchen table's full of like paint pens and canvases, and like, if we're working on different projects, it's like half of the house is filled with an installation. And so it's like, it's kind of controlled chaos, but not really, in our house. And it's funny because I always joke around, I'm like, man, my house is so messy, but it's a cool messy. It's awesome to be able to expose them to that. And, sometimes they'll help us with projects, and sometimes we get to see them with their projects. And so, it's definitely, I think for myself, like a full circle, right? Because I got to do that with my dad, and now I get to do this with my children, and, and so, and I think it's been really cool to see them evolve with their art, right? Like whether it's just sketching and now, dabbling in spray paint and, and drawing and candles. And so I think that's been like the amazing part of it, is to see them grow.
I mean, for me, I'm just really proud. Like every time they have an art show, or even when we got to see my mom paint at Chicano Park, like just seeing that is like, it's very inspiring. I think like it kind of shows me like that, like I could do like anything if they could do it. Like I feel like it's very, it just feels really good to see them like succeed and just do very well and like do what they love. Because it kind of inspires me to do what I love too. So I feel like just seeing them do things and like seeing people recognize them is really cool. Like, because I feel like they worked so hard to get to where they are, and I'm just very proud. So.
For me, I'm very proud. It is kind of a trip sometimes walking places and then like them telling us stories about like what they've done. But the one thing I've always appreciated is that they are always very like humble about themselves. Like they know they have a lot of work, but they don't expect nothing back. And at least for me, it's really cool to see like that they are about that. Especially my dad. He's done so much, and a lot of times, like he doesn't like to flex that. Like he's just like humble about what he does, and he really does care about like pouring back into the community and like doing stuff. Like oftentimes going out of his way to like just do little things that like for some people it may seem like nothing, but like it is a lot. And so that's one thing for me I really appreciate both my parents, is that like a lot of the stuff they do just out of like generosity and like just because they care.
Yeah, that's so good.
You guys could cry, right?
I am crying. I think that's one thing, like seeing the kids get involved has been cool about like hearing their conversations with people, or our friends that, it's like sometimes it's their friends now, and so that's been really neat to see that kind of full circle too, of like the relationships and the network of people that we have, like, are just bringing them right into the fold. Yeah, so.
Yeah, I think for me it's really exciting. Like I've obviously like that last art show we were very little, and I think now like I can really appreciate it. I think like and really appreciate the experience we get to have. And I think like outside of my parents, like I think just like it's really hard to think of inspirations outside of my parents actually. But really it's just really exciting. And I think like also just seeing all these other artists we've gotten to know over the years, like, and getting to go to all these art shows and stuff, and just seeing so many different types of art and so many different people who do art, and like it really just like shows how like we can do this. Like it's there's not just one like definition for what art is. Like art is what you make of it, and I think that is my inspiration for it.
It's probably not what people will expect from us. Okay. But I think it's something that is bringing us together, and it's just like I don't know. I honestly don't have an answer for that. Like, I could tell you we all have the same canvas, you know. But I think what each of us is gonna do with that is gonna be its own story. And I think, again, like, the purpose of the show is, one, I saw that y'all were doing it, so I was like, I want to be a part of that. And then I was telling them, I was like, wait a minute, like, we should all do it, you know. And I think that, like, our life, like, the way life happens, right, like, this couldn't have come at a better time for us,
Right.
you know. And yeah,
There's a
but
bell.
hopefully everyone
Yeah.
and everyone comes out and checks it out, and you know that they're inspired to do something. So please don't forget, March 14th from 12 to 6 at Por Vida on Logan Avenue. Can we kick it? Come and join us. Yes, we can kick it. You'll be surprised by the art we're making. We'll have music by the Southtown Sound Collective, art, delicious drinks, some food. Come out, have a good time with us. See you soon.